This is kind of what the YouTube is gonna be looking like. So once we get it perfected with the sound added to it, what we'll do is we'll send this feed to YouTube, so you'll be able to chop it up any way you want to. It's right behind you. And then what we'll do is we're gonna have different angles. So we'll probably have it mounted up somewhere over here. And then from the app, they'll be able to either watch the show on the app, or they'll be able to listen to it on the app. It'll be their choice. You know what I'm saying? She's not even paying attention.
I mean, you just said it. I'm just right. I heard what you said.
Sit down, dude. Let me fix it.
So, hey, can you give us no food shots or moonshine today?
You want some more, John?
I do. I look forward to a shot of shine. Shot of shine. Yeah, no, yeah.
$5 shot today.
$5 shots today. Let me see. I got a cash up here. I don't even know what it is.
This way? Yeah, this one. Move your mic up so I can get better. Yeah.
Keep going. A little more. Yeah, keep going. Alright, up,
To back in.
Okay. That should be good.
You on my headphones?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's
See? No. She moved.
no.
No, I did.
That's her bad.
What's my bad? Inside. Why Kia mad at the what's the little girl group?
You want to move it?
Kaya, what mad at the little girl group? What's the girl group name? You remember?
City girl.
There you go.
No, Q. You don't like that?
No.
It's all right.
Oh,
I like that.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
Goddamn. You move that microphone down.
I'm trying to fix my eyelash.
You know what?
What? Because I'm trying to fix my eyelash? Yeah. I won't be recording that part. Now, is that good? Can you see yourself? Can you see yourself? Kim, can you see yourself? Yeah.
Breasts. Straight.
I need breasts ain't going top. I can't wait to get this reduction. I'm supposed to get this reduction before I went back to work. It was on the insurance and everything. Ugh. Insurance told me that I don't even pay for that. Pay for that.
Because it was a health thing.
Yeah, because that's not that.
Go on, crack one of them things open real quick.
What you got? What we cracking?
It's 7:55, so I guess we are starting at 8.
Yep. What I'm cracking? You see my water. You cracking up what?
Crack a shot.
Yeah.
You want some of the gas or what?
I probably what's a cinnamon?
Yeah.
I probably cinnamon. I'm sure gas don't mean no good.
No, it don't.
That's what it is. No, this it sounds like it's a straight octane.
Banana? Banana?
We'll try banana.
You got to hit it out of the bottle, though.
Yeah, dumb. Get it out the bottle.
God damn, I can
Look at you. Let me see if I can do it. And if I do it, I'm gonna whoop your.
Hello.
Okay, so when you
Oh, it's tight.
That's what she said.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
So text me when you like when you parked and you're walking up. We're about to start the show.
Tell me right next to the rock.
Right next to the rocks.
Yeah, right next to the rock.
We're right next. I gotta hit it from the glass.
Go to
What are the glasses at?
Spaces.
It's the only one that touched it. You gotta take a good one. Don't be sitting like a little biatch.
The Spaces is the building. Is the name of the building. That's the name of the building.
Such a lady.
I know. They say I'm a nigga on the side.
Backside of the heart.
Yeah.
Punch Bowl Social is right down the street, ain't it? Or
It's
is it-
down the street.
Yeah,
Yeah, across the street.
It's like across the street.
You gotta, when you pass Punch Bowl Social, go across the street. You got the on up experience and then spaces.
Coca-Cola Roxy.
Tried to kill me. Really made my eyelash too. That's some glue. The halftime.
Did you hit that last time?
Not banana.
Banana good.
Cinnamon?
No, we had watermelon.
Watermelon.
What is that?
You slobbing?
I spit. Shit.
You slobbing?
Yeah, I'm drunk now. I ain't
This
it
shit
though.
tastes like nail polish removing the smell.
How you? Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that, brothers. Yeah, I got you.
I know, right? Let's sip me some water. So we're intro talk about what the show is about, what we're doing, then we'll come back with headlines.
Sweating.
I'm here for you.
No, I'm shining. I'm shining.
So when we come in, how long are we gonna be?
This is the intro.
3 minutes.
Yep, this is enough to talk about what we're gonna talk about. It's gonna be on the show.
And then how long is the break gonna be?
Not long.
Then
Quick break.
Chef walking up.
I got it.
Okay.
I
You
got
want
that
to do
part.
headlines? Okay, you can sit down.
I got
Oh,
that
what
part.
time is what's gonna be?
Like 8:20.
Oh, it ain't turned yet. My bad.
Okay.
It's only
We're
8:57.
rolling out. We got shut down. Come upstairs. Okay. Okay. We're gonna get close up on this eye. I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom. No, I don't. I got glue in my purse.
You about to do it now?
You know I'll do a lash on air in a heartbeat, honey. In a heartbeat.
You about to do your eyelash on air?
I will take this sucker off, put some glue on
Oh, I
it.
see it. I see it. I see
It's
it.
twisted. It's this corner.
Can't nobody see it though.
I
Not from
know.
that angle.
No, not from this angle. We'll do it with, and with my hair here is when it's the worst.
Wow.
Yeah. It's okay.
Hey, Crystal.
We'll go back.
What up, Randy?
You want me to push all the towels?
Yeah. Yes.
I can't.
Push ours first.
Oh, Lord Jesus. Oh. Hey,
What up, Ro?
what's this one over here?
I'll plug the mics in a second, y'all.
That's fine.
But my battery is
All
about to
right.
go dead.
We in there like swimwear? What's this one right
I
here?
got 1 minute.
That's my Facebook.
Do you want to push it now?
Yes.
All right.
If y'all pay close attention, Tmarie eyelash about to come off.
It's all right. I bet you I put this up back on air. You want to see me put it on too?
It's the left one, y'all.
You
Whichever one
you're
falls
such a
on that
snitch.
shirt.
What up,
Oh,
Chris?
you a snitch. Snatch. You a snatch. You a snatch. Hey, y'all, what's up? Y'all ready to tune in? Go ahead and tell everybody right now.
Make sure
to
you
turn
share
on.
and share and share.
And number one, why y'all don't let y'all notifications letting y'all know that we on? That's the part.
Hello, whoever
Like,
just
come
logged
on.
in. Who just logged in?
Yeah, we won't be able to say a whole bunch of
Okay.
hellos after this. We'll just be talking to you guys. But
What up, Chris
make
Hudson?
sure you tune in. Go ahead and share it, though. If you're watching, go ahead and share it. Hey, everybody.
Hey, if you want to come to
Hey.
a radio network where the
What?
folks ain't all in your videos behind the scenes,
Super Death Row Records.
Oh, did it?
they ain't,
Hey, everybody.
they ain't promoting their own stuff all on your
That's
show.
right. Got all the background and
Make
stuff.
sure you
Hey,
tune
hey,
in
your
from
own
7 to 9
job.
to Michael in the morning.
Hey. All right. Ain't that right here?
Right.
My friends, dead up in the thing. Spin mine around, boy.
But
Hey,
tomorrow we will have the slutty vegan in the building.
Please come and bring some of her stuff.
No, she got
She got
on
this-
Saturday
Hey,
and
y'all,
Sunday.
Go
she
ahead
has
and
wearing those.
share.
She does.
Go ahead and share right
Hey, come on,
now.
y'all. Let's do some
Share,
radio.
Share the page. If you're watching
And
right
your
now,
mic on?
share the page.
Is your
We're
mic
about to come up, okay? Go ahead
Nah,
and
I
share
have
it.
it.
That's the one thing I need you guys to do.
No.
Share
Hello,
this.
can you hear me?
No.
If you're watching, hey everyone, share. If you're watching, share.
If you're watching, share.
That is the best thing you can do for us is to share, so you can let other people know that you're listening to us, okay? And you know, if you're Chicago, which hey Chicago, I see you. I see you.
Come on,
Indianapolis.
Come on.
Oh, it's our time.
And
Rose said he see your eyelash flapping.
You tell him I will be
You
there.
can tell him.
I will come for you. Do not come for me. I'll find out where people live, okay? Hey.
Why her eyelash waving at the phone? Go.
Hey, what's up? It's Thursday. We're back in the middle. We're back. 108.9. Thank you for joining us. We're here from 8 to 10. So get it set now. Get it set in your system. Get it set in your brain. It's going to change a different day. We'll let you know that later. But get it set for today from 8 to 10. And go ahead and share the video. Go ahead and share the video. What is wrong with y'all share button around here? I know my thing say public. Can y'all share it? But thank you for tuning in. Thank you, everybody, at Tmarie Radio Show. Thank you for welcoming us back. Hey, Q.
Hey, T.
How are you?
I'm blessed. How are you?
Happy New Year.
Happy 2019 to everybody. Now we got 6 more days, 5 more days before we can say
Happy New Year. Then what happens?
Get it out.
What's that, till the 15th? That's almost 5 more days from now.
Yes.
So after the 15th, you can't say it.
I stopped saying Happy New Year after the 6th. Now it's Happy 2019.
Oh, I say Happy New Year. Stop saying it after the 2nd. Like the New Year is over. Like we in it now.
It still got a little state.
No, yeah, we done. Like, you know, after the first, and we done drunk all the champagne pop bottles and had our hats on and all that. We're done. So happy 2019. I hope you guys are sticking to your resolutions. If you made any,
you did not make resolutions. I hope you put it in effect and made changes.
Changes,
yes.
Yes, but for the rest of your
you thought
life.
about it in November.
Come on now, I appreciate that. So changes. Of course, we know the easiest way to do that. So write them down, make it plain. That's your vision. You know what the words say, so do that. So with that being said, we have an amazing show today. Yes, some awesome guests today. Yes. Awesome topics today. Yes. And you know we got to talk about Aura Kelly. So don't think I have forgotten about that. We're not finished. My timeline has been bananas. So we'll talk about Aura. Special guest today, Kevin Ross. Woo. It's a long song away, and he's going to show you how far it is. He's going to come here and talk about his new projects that he has coming up. He's here to do some shoots and some other things in Atlanta. So we're going to welcome him in the right way. Yes. Also, Chef Jayon.
Yes,
give us
favorite,
oh my God.
Chef.
If Chef is coming up here with no food, he got to turn right around.
And go to his restaurant.
Okay.
Because of a plate.
Okay, well, there we go. We're going to talk about that too. Of course, we got headlines, talking to little John Gray. Oh my God. Really, John Gray? You want to know what he did? Just stay tuned for that. R. Kelly, again, like you said, we got some tea. We're going to stay for you, some more headlines. And we got the question of the day. The question of the day. Oh, of course we got Quinspiration. Like, we can't even do without Quinspiration. All right? So stay tuned in. If you're watching right now, go ahead and share that page. And stay tuned. It's 108.9. Power 108.9. It's Tmarie Radio Show. Keep it locked. We're going to be right back.
Hey, Tmarie, quick comment. Rose said he tried to share the feed, but your eyelash was in the way.
Smacking these folks. Y'all talk about the eyelash now. I'm going to get some glue and glue it on right here. I promise you I am. What you want me to move?
You see, it's all in my face.
Oh, let's cut. You know what, like Q, we got 17 cameras, okay? Well, you got to decide which ones you want to be seen. Because if I pull this
I want to be seen on that clear one. Yeah.
There you go. Look how amazing I am. See how I made you sing right here, and then you're singing right here. Come on, God. Let me be great.
Right there.
Let me be great, and I'm gonna be great. If you let me be great, then you can be great. Let me be great.
Y'all should pay. For those of you go on our Instagram page.
Okay.
Check out our Instagram. Please. T, made a little song. We was getting it in a little bit before the show started.
Yes. Thank you guys, like honestly, for tuning into the show. Please, I need you to share the page. That's the biggest thing you can do for me. If you want to support me, support the show, support Q, please just share the page. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to put any comments. Just share it. Just share it so that other people can see what you're watching, and that helps us to get new viewers. It helps us to get people that we wouldn't normally reach because of you. And we need that. So come on now. Share the page. Share it. That's all I need you to do. You ain't got to say, they're the best people in the world. You ain't got to say that.
Even though we know.
We know we are. Yes. We just don't need you to say all that because I know it's just easy to push the share button and be done with it. But just share. So if you don't know, again, we'll be right back on live in a few minutes. He's going to get our guest, Kevin Ross, in the building, long song away. I might sing a duet with him. We'll see if he let me. People, professional singers don't be wanting these other professional singers to sing with them because I'm so good, you know what I'm saying? So so I'm so good, so they don't let me sing with them. Let me see who's on here. I'm close to mine. Oh God, yes. Hey everybody. Hey Thomas, Cheryl, Yolanda, Cassandra, Michael, Oda.
Make sure you guys are sharing.
Okoa. I think I said that right there. Okoa. Hi Thelma. It's hold on. You're making me scroll back down. Hi, Cheryl Frank. Let me hold on. Ochoa. Ochoa. That's it, right? Ochoa. Let me know if that's right, Michael. No, you messing up people's names.
That might be right.
It ain't right. Narugi. I know who you are, but we're gonna go with Narugi because that's your name, right? That Narugi. Okay. Hey, Miss Emma and Michael McFadden. He gone. Hey, Robert, Cynthia McCain. What's the topic? Oh, we got plenty of topics today. We're gonna talk. Of course, we gotta talk about your hometown, Chicago. So we're talking to little doggone Robert Kelly. We're gonna talk John Gray. We're talking John Gray. Y'all know who John Gray?
Government shutdown.
Government shutdown. And the headlines are talking about that. We're talking about a relationship question of the day, and we're on for 2 hours today, or hour and a half. What time? Depending on what time we get tired. But normally we will be on for 2 hours. Okay. And we're talking about a little Kia. It's her neck and her back and all that other stuff. So y'all stay tuned. I thank you, everybody who's sharing. Thank you. I love you guys for that. Hey, Joseph.
Yes,
hey, come on, Joseph, and talk to you too.
Well, guess you gotta turn around, T.
Who got to turn around?
Hey.
You gotta. You know what? Chef Dayon. Chef Dayon.
No, you dressed right. You just came wrong.
Why you come up in here with no food? I don't understand how this.
Be hungry. Oh, it's very simple. Yeah. Very simple.
Hold on, chef.
Yeah. Let's jump straight in.
All right, we back.
James James.
All right, we back. I don't know. Okay, we back. Thank you guys. We're back. It's Tmarie Radio Show, Power 108.9. You guys go ahead and tune in. I ask you again to go ahead and share the page because that's what we need you to do to keep supporters watching and seeing us and helping us grow. Go ahead. That's that shine. Go ahead and like Power 108.9 as well as our pages. It's Tmarie Radio Show. Most of you guys already have that, and that way you'll get the notifications. What do you want? Listen, you can't be telling me no. I ain't got time. Do you want this or not?
Yes.
See how you stop
Can
the
you not put your finger up?
You should have had somebody else do it.
Okay. Anyhow,
yeah. So we're here.
Welcome everybody to the new season of It's Tmarie Radio Show with T and Q.
Because you'll come take over the microphone.
But I did because I had to bring you back because you wasn't focused.
Don't do that.
No more banana shine.
Don't put up this today.
You just did 3 times.
Let's go ahead and get the party started. Okay, so if you guys don't know, we already told you we have an amazing chef. Now, the only reason why he gets to stay is because we already said his name. He didn't come in here with food, and Chef Dayon knows better. But y'all give it up for the chef of the ATL and everywhere around the world, Chef Dayon, everybody! Woo! Hey, Chef Dayon.
How you doing?
I'm mad at you, but I'm fine. How are you?
No, let's get right into it. Let's not play games. So why are you mad at me?
Come on, Chef Dayon. Let's be real.
For the people out there listening, tell them why you mad at me.
Because you didn't bring me any food.
All right. So in our pre-production meeting, did anybody tell me that?
Also, I need to holler at Q.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Chef Dayon.
Hold on. No.
You know what?
First of all, this ain't the first time you met her.
Okay.
This ain't the second time you met her.
And I'm always talking about
you. You heard about the show. I mean, you didn't heard about how she
okay. So I see what's going on. I got this. So for those that are listening, in pre-production, it's known that I have a restaurant.
Right.
So
which is called and located where?
It's called 2990 NOLA Cafe. It's located at 79 Beaufort Highway Northeast.
So let's pause right there. Let's
go
ahead and give them a round of applause.
Shout out for that. We're going to support you on that one, but go ahead because I'm mad still.
Right. So the basis of this interview is for me to talk about the restaurant. So in our pre-production meeting, hey, listen, here's what's going on. This, that, and the third.
Too much TV. You can tell when people have been on TV too much. You know what I'm talking about? But we don't have pre-production. We call you like, look, this is what you do. Show up, okay? But here you go.
Okay, my bad. So closed mouth don't get fed.
Whatever. I need my food. Chef Dayon, I'm so proud of you.
Y'all come out. Let me nip this in the butt.
Okay.
All 3 of y'all. Bring Michael too, because that's my guy. We do the morning show together too.
Okay.
Bring him out. Y'all come out and have food on me. Well, Q always eat for free, but y'all two can eat for free now too.
I eat for free.
Q eat for free for like 3 years now.
And then when I show up,
4 years now.
Maybe I've been eating out this plate because I've been eating for free.
Last time Q paid for a meal, I had a hairline. That's all I need.
Well, it's been a minute.
That's been a good little minute.
That's a big.
Yeah, I got the George. So what we're
I'm not cool with you.
So no, but that's what's going on. I appreciate it, and I just want to make people proud and show people that black men especially can run a business and be successful.
Let's run down your resume though, because people who don't know you, new watchers, new followers, let them know who you are and run down your credentials.
All right. Well, first of all, my name is Jan Barnes. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. Moved here right before Hurricane Katrina. Worked at Cheesecake Factory. Rose through the ranks with those guys. Took a corporate chef job here in Atlanta. So I used to operate several restaurants in the airport. And I also was the executive chef at Sweet George's Juke Joint. And my most recent thing I did was I opened up Old Lady Gang.
Right. Okay.
So I was heavily involved with that. For you Atlanta Housewife fans, I was on season, I think 8, I believe, or 9. See, one of those seasons I was on like
one of the seasons, right?
Yeah, I think season 9 anyway. So, so I've done a little TV, but just to show you like.
What other TV have you done?
Oh, that's a nice segue question. That's why you're ready.
You know what? We're gonna put you right on that.
You knew when I came here, what was gonna happen?
Right, I should have known. You supposed to be
late. Be very candid.
Exactly.
Y'all should have known that. Once we, see, he's very familiar. Once we, too soon. Once,
you know what? Thank you guys.
I'm going to a quick question right now. I'm just over it.
Let's talk.
Go ahead.
So Q, good question. After that, I did a show called The Graduates. It was on Aspire.
Right.
And then I've done several appearances on that. Last thing I did was I did a segment on Sister Circle. And
shout out to our girls over there down to the circle.
Yeah, and then I have another project coming up. We probably gonna keep on the wraps for now, but you guys will be the first to know whenever it's official. So we have some things in the works. So we just want to show that yes, you can do good food, but then also you want to hit the multimedia side.
Right.
As well.
So you become a professional. What you call that? We have multi streams of income.
Not broke.
Well, okay, if you want to put it that
I
way.
can fix my payment rings for Maggie.
There you go.
Yeah, I can stop, paying the bare minimum.
Well, we're gonna come back and get. When we come back, we want to talk about the restaurant. We want to talk about the opening. We want to talk about the cuisine because I'm hungry.
About the what?
Cuisine.
What?
Cuisine.
I don't know how to.
That's an R.
I don't know how to.
CRZ.
What? The food, man. The food. It's Tmarie Radio right here on California. I'm from the country. I can't say every word.
One of the videos posted.
Those on Facebook.
You gonna talk about the what?
Cuisine. The cuisine.
What's going on?
That's what we say. But what do we really say?
Food.
Oh,
Right.
that's what I'm gonna say. Trying to be
Bills.
trying to be all proper.
Right.
Let's talk about the rest of the menu.
Trying to be all radio-ish.
Let's talk about the menu. How
Talk
about
about the cuisine. The what?
Thank you guys. Oh my God. Thank you everybody for all of the thank you. Now are you sharing? Now, y'all see all the hearts. I need to see somebody sharing. There we go. There's another share. Come on now. That's what I'm talking about. Share. Go ahead and let everybody know that you're watching. Chef Jayon is in the building. Go ahead and follow his pages and everything. We're gonna go to his restaurant all together and make this thing pop. We're gonna go support Black businesses and do it the right way. Don't go asking for discounts. Don't go do that. Go in and know that you're gonna pay full price.
What you saying?
Oh, why you got the mic off in your
Because this thing is in the way.
That is not how the radio. You're supposed to have the mic
You
on
doing damn
radio.
TV.
You're not doing interviews. This is not what we're doing.
You doing goddamn TV.
In other words, you ain't savage smile.
Can you put the mic where it belongs?
Damn.
Put the mic where it belongs.
Look, I know what I'm
Give
doing.
it to me. I'll
It go right here.
I understand where it goes, but it's also obstructing the view of the chef right here.
I'll put the mic where it belongs.
We got plenty.
I'm not. I'm not.
We got plenty of footage.
Q got that's his particular.
You know, look.
That's how you get down, sir. Hey, KL.
Q, you can do it any way you want to do it, brother.
He can.
After I done put it out.
Hi, Jason. Hey, JJ White.
Hey, Jason, we miss you.
Miss you. All right, everybody. Hey, Damien. Can y'all share this, please? I love it. Oh, who fell? Hey, we ain't got no insurance, please. Please be careful, okay?
Don't do that. Yes,
Don't
we do.
just- I don't. Okay,
Yeah.
I can do.
Valerie Randolph for Allstate, guys.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Well, let's
Is that
do-
all caps?
Want me to get it for you? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Nikki
Type
Nicole. Hi, Keyshawn. Hi, Genesis.
Keisha, we miss you.
We miss you. Hi, Michael Fitz. Jason Reeves in the building. Cedric. Carletta. Hey, Robert. All right, y'all. Go share. Hi, Kale. Thank you so much for watching. Go share. Go share. Listen, if y'all don't share, that makes me feel like y'all shame. You know how you have that one friend in the back that y'all don't want to let nobody know y'all got in the back? So y'all watch me, but y'all don't want nobody to know y'all watch me, so you won't share.
Hey, where you at?
The only reason why I don't know that y'all proud of me is if y'all share. Can y'all share the video?
All right, so just come out and just follow the signs to the Roxy. We're right next to the Roxy. It's a big building that got spaces on the top of it. Yeah, they say the Roxy, and so, like I say, you should see.
I know y'all been
what are you standing by now?
Right? I know it's okay. I don't know if I'm gonna get my songs out before.
All right, so yeah, just keep walking up towards the stage.
It's 8:30. What time?
Also 9 o'clock. So after 9 o'clock, I'm gonna have a solo.
She's gonna sing
well, what you're gonna see, you're gonna see the on-up experience, and then you're gonna see spaces. We're in that building that say spaces. And I'll come outside and look for you.
He knows I have a super fantastic voice.
All right.
She laughing because she don't even believe it.
All right, come on in. You got your nice break. Y'all start talking. Ready?
All right.
I'm gonna go down. Who is that? You hang up. I'm gonna go back to the
Okay.
Who is that? Okay. Why you whispering?
I'm trying to be nosy.
That's like white. That's like black folks in corporate America talking about white people.
Right.
Yeah, that's the white people.
That's crazy.
That's cold for white people.
Right.
Wow. If when white people are watching this,
Kevin?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Hey, we're back. It's Tmarie Radio Show right here on Power 108.9. I'm here with my boy Q.
My girl T.
And Chef Dayon is in the building.
What up?
Hey, Chef.
Where the food at?
I know you didn't.
What's the address?
Where is the food? You tell me where the food is.
I don't feel bad. I feel bad, but I don't feel bad.
Why don't you feel bad?
Because we could have talked about it, could have had a whole meal brought up here. Or we could have did a live broadcast from my restaurant.
We'll do that next time. That's what we're going to do. That's going to be the next thing we do. When's your grand opening? Let's talk about the restaurant and your grand opening.
So here's what happened.
Oh, God. Here we go.
Every time my original grand opening was going to be the first week of December.
Mm-hmm.
So what had happened was I'm learning about permits, inspections, and stuff like that. So it doesn't move as quick as I would like, no matter how much money you have. I don't have any money, but you know, but when I opened Old Lady Gang, they did the same thing. They went through a lot to get open, and they have a lot of money. From what I understand. So to stop dancing around the question, I'm planning the grand opening for the first week of February.
Okay.
It'll be a ribbon cutting ceremony. It'll be nice. And I would love for you guys to come out. The AJC will be out.
Nice.
There'll be some other media powerhouses there. I want you guys there as well.
We can't wait because we're going to support you everything that you do.
And this will be one of many. This is going to be one of many.
So with the restaurant, once you get everything up and running and get it to the place that you knew it would be, what would be the next move from there? Do you see yourself opening more restaurants?
Yeah, like I just said, it's going to be one of many. My goal is to open as many as possible. Without saying too much, we have pretty good information that we can kind of take this and just expand on it.
Awesome.
I mean, everything, McDonald's, Popeyes, all these things started from one. And you just have to find a niche and then grow it. So that's kind of
somebody stole the idea of McDonald's and put the other man idea and open up 500 million.
Well, the good thing about me is I have the background and so no one's stealing anything from me.
There you go.
Right. So we've been doing Q knows we took some crappy lounges in places and made
them not. Oh my God!
For those of you who don't know, one of his nicknames was the restaurant fixer. He used to go in all of these restaurants.
So he was the fixer before. What's the guy name? He was the fixer before. The
Robert Irvin,
the Hell's Kitchen Chef guy.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Gordon Ramsay.
I'm not gonna disrespect him, but in Atlanta, as far as the urban market goes, that's definitely true.
That's nice though.
Yeah, but we're not gonna disrespect him because
absolutely.
He's doing great. But in Atlanta, and these are facts. That's very true.
I have a question for you, honestly. So many restaurants open in Atlanta, all the time. What is the downfall? Why do they fail? And what is the staying power or the secret behind the staying power?
It was funny, my buddy James and I was talking about this the other day. The main thing is you'd be surprised when people with no experience open a restaurant.
Right.
They have right. James is a banker. He knows.
So we need to talk to James.
Yeah, you don't want to James.
Hello, James. We can get his car for y'all.
In a minute here. But you know, it's funny talking to James. You know, we talk. It's crazy how many people that have no restaurant experience. Right. And that's fine because that could be your passion.
But is that really fine though?
It is, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Because let's say I had a banking background, I want to open up a restaurant. Mm-hmm. I should have enough sense to know, you know what? I don't know how to do this, but I'll hire you that know what they're doing. Right. Because I'm sure, you know, Steve Jobs didn't personally build iPhones at some point. He had to stop and say, you know what? Let me get other people. And the same thing with me. At some point, while I'm the chef and the owner, at some point, I can't keep cooking every single order. I have to say, okay, I have to delegate that because one sign of bad management is if I have to be in a restaurant every single day, that's a sign of bad management.
Yeah, you're right.
Because you know, here's the thing. If I'm there, you know, we'll pick it, we'll take pictures, we'll chop it up. But if I have to not be there and you order food, it tastes the same way as if I cooked it myself. Exactly. And if I can't do that, then frankly, I shouldn't have a restaurant.
What's the secret behind that?
Love. You put love and passion into what you do, and you put procedures and the system in place. And circling back to your question, a lot of people that open up businesses, they're flying by the seat of their pants. They don't put procedures and systems in place. Because there's restaurants that are closed that shouldn't be, and there's restaurants that will soon close because of that same reason.
So as we know, proper planning is a big thing when it comes to business. So your restaurant is now open, and of course you're preparing for the grand opening. But how long have you been preparing for this moment right here?
I've been looking for property for about a year.
Okay.
And with me, I'm obsessive. So when I want something, as far as materialistic things go or goals, I go after it. So like the next car I want, I just bought another car 2-3 months ago. Yeah. I'm already looking for my next car now. Right. I'm not gonna buy it anytime soon, but I want it in my mind. It's a goal. I'm setting goals. So it's kind of the same thing. You have to set goals.
So once you reach one place, you already know the next place you want to go.
Yeah, because let's be honest. We're never really satisfied.
Right.
You're not supposed to be.
No, you never really. I mean, even in any facet of life, you know, even in dating, you know, when you meet especially someone and y'all have.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
What's up?
I ain't got time for this question, but what do you mean not even in dating?
In dating, we're never satisfied. Why do they always say when you get married, you have to date your wife? Because we have to feed that beast. Like we have a yearning to want to be loved and all. The feeling to want to be loved and appreciated. That never goes away.
Yeah, okay,
you understand that, right?
I'm glad you fixed that because I thought
probably not.
Because what I thought you were going to say is you were never satisfied. You would always want somebody or something else.
That's not what you said.
You always going to crave a different love or the next level of love with that person you want to share. Well, I'm glad he fixed that because I thought I was going to put him straight out of here like right now.
Nobody puts me out here.
Relationship.
I'm gonna have to put him on the panel.
Yeah, we ain't know you had that in you, bro.
I look pretty good.
I'm crazy.
Shout out to whoever it was that talked about.
Good job. So let's talk about opening is coming up. Give us some dates, some times, and where people can actually, if they want to come.
So you can come actually now. What I'm doing is I'm in the process of renovating, but the demand was so crazy. I just put out like a little set menu for now of New Orleans food. You can come out now. You can follow the page. It's $29.90 Nola Cafe on Instagram. Or my personal page is Chef Jaion, Jaaaion. Yes, it's urban, but I like the name. So you can follow either one. And the restaurant address, like I said, is 3979 Buford Highway Northeast. For the night people, it's in the same plaza with Lions and Empire. It's in that same plaza. So come out. You can come out now and try the menu, and you can see the process. Also, when I put the word out for the grand opening, we're going to do a ribbon cutting ceremony. We're also going to do a second line like a parade.
So coming up, you guys give it up. Chef Jaion, everybody! Go follow him so we can eat good together. Thank you, Chef Jaion. We appreciate you coming in. Can't wait to pick my plate.
And then next time I come here, because I brought Michael food, remember? I brought Michael food at 7 in the morning.
Yes, okay, nothing to do with what you did for Michael. Okay.
But you know what? In pre-production,
trying to get back.
Talk about it. Look, talk about it. Asking, you shall receive. I love it for people.
We love it. I'm tired of people acting brand new. We've been on each other almost 5 years.
Communication is key, right?
Shut it down. Coming up next. See how I have to do take over. Coming up next, it's going to be Kevin Ross is in the building. A long time away, but guess what? We're bringing you back. It's Tmarie Radio Show 108.9.
Power.
I was going to get to the power. Golly, we'll be right back. Keep it live.
Good job.
by like sometime tomorrow.
I don't know how
Oh,
this hot, Michael.
That's what she said.
Come open this thing.
No,
That's what she said.
That was she
Open this. You make me so sick. So I can put it back.
Yeah.
What time y'all play?
4:30.
Okay, how's that early game?
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for tuning in. Are you sharing? I can't because Michael didn't sit on. Okay, hold on.
Loves me.
It's a big girl.
She's tall, actually. She's like.
Put it on Mike Fulton Evans says.
This hair come. Let me trick me. Sorry, y'all.
I just want to do some.
Y'all need damn. Y'all, you know y'all do radio, right?
You're not leaving because we got the. Hold up.
Oh, okay. I thought y'all was keeping me out.
Well, yeah.
See,
I just need some food.
Where we get this photo?
that's your man.
I can't believe it. I don't understand you.
If you would have
So
told
you
me,
just say bring.
Look, I'm
okay,
y'all
wait,
not to put me in the middle of this.
snap what's out fact. I now live what? I live 5 minutes away.
From
So
here?
yeah, so I didn't go to a restaurant. If you told me, I would have had all that. I would have went to the
Why is it
restaurant.
on me?
Yeah, I would have went to the restaurant. You feel me? Made the food and got it fine.
Where we going? This way? Listen, I feel like I'm in the circle. All right, we ready? You're not going.
Gotta show you.
Can you hit me, Jesus?
Hey, well,
Get you in the way. Get wet.
Banker man, you ain't got no car?
Not banker, man.
I don't like the way I'm staying.
I got two.
I like it.
You
I like it. Thank you for showing up.
Alright,
I appreciate you. Oh, you're sorry. Trust me, we appreciate you so much.
hey, I'm gonna throw that picture you posted. You nuts. It's the same things.
Look how y'all treat my viewers.
Yeah.
Y'all treat, they treat y'all like nothing. They don't let you fall and everything. That ain't right.
She need to talk, man.
What's up?
Kim, please open this.
Yeah.
Please.
Tmarie.
It fell out. It popped out. I didn't even, too strong. I didn't even do it.
Too wet.
Right.
Too wet.
We gonna act right in front of Mr. Ross, okay? We're not gonna act up.
My DMV partner right there, boy. My DMV partner right there, boy.
Hey y'all, what's going on?
You took the thing around?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, Lord. There we go. Sorry, y'all. That's what happens when my phone is the one that's being.
That smell like fabulous.
Oh, Fabuloso.
I love Mexican pots to be coming through.
Yes, it do.
Am I the only one that bought fabulous?
I know, I bought it. I bought it.
Get a little bit of smell.
Put a little pot. Yes, indeed. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys are great. Thank you. Let's see.
Mike. Right, that power, but. Have you ever been on that?
I'm good, man. I got my water right here. You just came from the studio.
Yes.
No, you put it back up. That's one to clean your table off for.
Hey, Donna. Hey, everybody. Oh, I love y'all.
It's the book bag. I'm like, deep.
Have you ever grabbed
more days? You got some
This is the last one as far as mixing. We do masking
tomorrow?
it's at 7:30. Something like that.
I'm gonna open up my own song and go away.
Cool, baby. I won't sing it.
Thank you.
Uh-oh.
See, it just keeps jumping out. I don't, it's really, I don't understand. I'm trying to understand why this keeps jumping out, Michael.
Who was in there before?
Nobody. It's been a long song away, I'll tell you that. Been a minute, quite some time. But let's drink a little of this water.
Good, you. Okay. Weird.
Because we got to get started. Sing it. All right, I'm gonna leave it right there because if I mess it, if I touch it, it's gonna do something else.
Don't.
I'm trying to get Kevin in his shot.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
You ready, Tmarie?
Yes, I am.
You ready, Q?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Like 8:30.
Oh, okay, good time. That's good.
Technically, no, it ain't. But
Oh. Hey.
You can say no.
Hey, I'm just
You know she's trying to be a singer.
We back, y'all. Hey, I know y'all hear this song, and I know you're familiar with this beat, right? This song has brought so many people like back to real R&B. When they hear it, they're like, "This is the shit right here." Back Power on 8.9's Tmarie Radio Show. We're in the building, and because we are who we are, we bring you who we bring you. So what's up in the building, you guys? Welcome, Mr. Kevin Ross. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, can't complain. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, we know your schedule is something
Oh,
tight,
stop.
so we appreciate you sliding us on in there like a DM. You know what I'm saying? It's awesome. Thank you for coming to Atlanta and showing us some love.
Yeah.
Man, this song right here, major. I mean, seriously, you laughing like, oh, that ain't nice. That's a little old song, but that was like literally, it really brought a lot of people back to like, this is what we've been missing in art.
Because that's the truth. That
Literally.
song actually came out when a lot of people were questioning the future of R&B.
Yeah.
And that song has been heavy on the radio for over a year.
Yeah, over a year.
And it's still
going.
And it's still is.
And it's like, it does not get old at
Wow.
all. How does that feel?
It feels great. You know, I'm a vessel, man. I'm just blessed to, have the opportunity to do it. And, I had the song for like years before it came out, so, it really kind of shows, the dexterity of the record and just, when you try to, create music that doesn't have a date on it or something like that, you kind of,
because timing is everything. So you said for years, and then what made you and how did we come about getting to hear this song, getting it on the air, getting it out there?
Fighting.
This is that industry.
We fought.
Yeah.
We fought long and hard. Honestly, it was really just about, since I'm young, you know what I mean, and they wanted me to do younger music, and so they wanted me to kind of have music match the way that I look. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't make sense to me. I grew up in DC. I grew up, listening to like a lot of 70s music and stuff like that. So that's kind of my background. Like I'm from, a place where they started the quiet storm, you know what I mean? Like WHUR. So it's like instead of me doing something DC as far as go-go wise, I took a quiet storm route. It's in my DNA.
And how did you make that happen? Like, how did you get them convinced? Like, look, I'm not going to do this. This is what I'm going to do.
I mean, it was really sink or swim at that point. I don't think anyone predicted what it was going to do. So they just kind of put it out. They thought I was a good kid and I deserved a shot. And it was like, we tried, it don't work. Like, can't say that we didn't.
Right. So you're saying you're young. But how long have you been how long have you been singing? How long have you been in the business?
In the business, I've been in the business since maybe like 2010. Like I started writing, and like my first placement was with Jamie Foxx. And so I've been in it, and just had my peaks and my valleys, my ups and downs, like any other career. So for me, to even have a number one, under my belt,
right,
on my own, and then have number ones with other people, like that's really dope.
Mm. So what I want to ask, when it comes to writing these amazing songs that you've written that will pretty much go down in music history, what is your creative process? What gets you in that zone to create these type of songs?
Experience, observing people, observing my generation, and just kind of being sensitive to what people need, what I need, what I want, what those around me want. So that's kind of what inspires me. Like, I'm on social media just like everybody else. And so for me, one of the biggest things that I saw was like patience. Nobody had the time to love somebody. Nobody had the time to wait for one. Nobody had the time to really, put in, to invest and to, marinate, who that person is. It takes a while. So that's where Long Song really came from. And a lot of other records as well.
In this generation, with you being in this millennial generation, where did that idea even come from? Love is so fast, so quick, and such a hurry right now. But for you, you're saying it's a long song. Where did that even come from for you? That influence?
frustration.
I'm talking to you, girl. I'm talking to you, okay?
I turn my frustration into a love song.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think the best way to speak to a woman, you know what I mean, is sometimes, you know, it's kind of like loving her with an iron hand with a velvet glove on top of it. You know, it's really kind of, you know, showing that, listen, you know, I love
That's pretty dope, though. I mean, because for you to be so young, you hear so much music right now coming from our young people about fast love, sex, and that's all it's about. And it's teaching them that is all that is what it's all about. But here you come, being from the same generation, teaching not only our young people, but reminding people of Michael's age. Of Michael's age that hey, love still exists because we're getting to a point now where we feel like it doesn't. And then here comes Long Song Boy. I love that. I love that.
What I want to know is when it comes to your influences, like was it your parents or who was it that encouraged you to do what it is you did and exposed you to the older generation of music, which is what you know, kind of put in your music now?
For sure, my parents. You know, my pop, he's a singer. Like my whole dad's side of the family, they sing. So, you know, that's kind of where it comes from. And so, yeah, that's all they play. Stylistics, you know, Sam Cooke, Marvin Gaye, Donny Hathaway, you know, Patrice Rushen, like all of these acts and artists, like, you know, Lush Colors. I fell in love with it. You know what I mean? So as I grew up, like I never really abandoned that. You know, I was able to be a chameleon and to do other things and to adapt to the time and the culture. But, you know, it's like always thinking of home, always thinking of family to say, you know, I got a rep from where I'm from.
So if you've been under the rock and don't know the song, we're going to play it. Long Song Away. Here we go. Kevin Ross, when we come back, we're going to talk about
the question of the day.
The question of the day and what he got coming up. Nice. Oh, how he going to play though? That ain't what I told him. The producer is off the track.
That's why he was resting.
Yeah, I don't know if so maybe we're not, okay? We'll be right back.
We'll play it after the next segment. I got a new nephew. His name Kevin Ross.
Y'all don't know nothing about that dog on the dog. I know about that. That is not Kevin. What are you talking about? Oh my God, it's Go-Go. It's doing the button, but it's not.
I understand it's not the same song. You know what?
But it's not.
That you're not musically inclined like the rest of us seem. The ear is not there.
I'm about to. You better be glad you can call.
You went to do that?
Yeah, I went to Ellison.
Okay.
Out in Northwest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You went to Ellison.
I'm all on you, but hell no, I ain't going to Ellison. I wasn't that talented. That's the North Atlanta of DC.
Oh, okay.
North Atlanta.
The good side.
Yeah, the good school, yeah.
The good school.
We busted there, so we didn't belong there. Made that very clear. We didn't afford nothing.
Tell me, do you know?
You know the reggae.
Oh,
you heard it, okay.
No, I heard the song. I know a little Go-Go, okay. I just look young. I'm just, you know. I will roll you out here too.
So, Kevin, let me get my little groupie moment on. My dad was in a group called the Dynamic Superiors out of DC. Wow. And they signed with Motown back in the day. And their first album, Ashford and Simpson wrote their first album. They did Soul Train and everything. They had a show called, they had a big hit called Shoe Shoe Shine. And they did it on Soul Train back in the day. And I was there with them when they did it. Yeah. We used to go to Atlantic City and get on the U-Haul and I ride with them going to the show. I'm like 5, 6, 7 years old. Oh yeah. History, man. I ain't even know. I'm just there. Like I'm just loving it, soaking it in, yeah. Then you realize like what you was around. So
and you were a part of it.
Yeah.
Well,
so I mean we can
talk about the.
You talk about these Go-Go's. Boy, I used to go up in Cherries, boy, with my name on the sign, boy. Shout out to Babyface. Bird Funk.
And you know they kind of like turned down very far.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I saw that.
We don't know nothing
I
about
saw
that.
that.
We just in here like
Yeah,
going back.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I you ready?
Yep.
Give me a second. I have one more song I want to play.
Hey,
I'm about to say
are
come
y'all
back a little bit.
sharing? Thank you for tuning in. If I go and I only see 20 shares, it's gonna be a problem. There's
See how
100
she be
people
acting.
sharing. All right,
Are you ready?
help me understand. Yeah.
You ready?
Oh, it's my idea. That's crazy.
That's what he do. Micah does that. Hey, it's your girl, Tmarie. We're back, y'all. It's Tmarie Radio Show, Power 108.9. We're in the building. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing. We really appreciate that. Go ahead and get on our pages and like and get the notifications. So cute.
We're back.
Yep. I don't know what. See, I hate when Michael talking to me. Talk to Q because I don't know. You can't talk to me. We're here with Kevin Ross, guys. We want to talk about what he's here in Atlanta doing and what he has coming up next.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Atlanta?
So I'm mixing and mastering this new stuff.
All right.
Yeah, it's been a minute. So, I just had to make sure that, I got some things right. Got my business right.
Okay, you said it's been a minute, but it doesn't seem like it. How long has it been since this song?
A year and a half maybe. But I mean, the last project that I had was maybe September of 2017.
Okay. So I'm getting, wait a minute. So you co-wrote this song right here?
Yeah, I wrote this song for Trey Songz. That's another.
We don't know nothing about you. I didn't know that part. Everybody looking at me like I'm slow. I've been on such a long song away. I didn't even know that you doing all this now. So tell us, just outside of singing, how many people have you co-wrote for?
Yikes. Well, the last thing that I wrote for was I'm Grammy nominated for Tony Braxton for this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Can we give it
You
up?
ain't even paying attention to
Something. Me and my folks be like, we love that song because that's what we're getting to know him. So there's plenty of people like me who are getting to know him, and then people like you who already know him. So I'm introducing him to some, and you're presenting him to others. Come on, church.
That's right.
Okay.
All right,
So now I want him to tell the people like me
Here we go.
who he is.
There's a lot more people that don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Come on now, because y'all think y'all know everything. I know I say y'all. So you've done so much co-writing, and you Grammy nominated with Tony Braxton. Which song?
It's called Sex and Cigarettes, and she named the album that. So.
Wait, for real, y'all gotta clap it up for this. How does that feel?
It was a surprise. I wasn't expecting that at all.
So you get to go to the Grammys?
Yeah.
Because nobody give me no invitation whatsoever.
February 10th.
New York or California?
I don't know. I'm be there.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
I think it's
Last year was
California.
a little too cold.
Oh,
It was in New York.
it was in New York?
Last year.
Well, it was like a special anniversary thing.
60.
But yeah.
Yeah, so they went to New York. So now we're going back to Cali. Going back to Cali.
Yeah.
So you have a new project, like you said, that's what you're here for.
Yeah.
A whole new album or just a couple new singles?
No, it's a
Whole new project. So when can we expect it?
You can expect it sometime in the spring. I'll say that.
Okay.
But there's a song that's coming out very, very soon. I won't put a date on it, but it's very, very soon.
So what is the mood or the feel for this particular project?
Compared to the last time, this has a lot more grit to it. It has a lot more heart to it. I think that with the first album, make sure that you go and get that. It's called The Awakening.
That's right.
I felt like it was a buffet, and it kind of showed a spectrum of what I was capable of doing, the possibility. And I think through experience, I kind of honed in, and I understood that where we're at right now, it's a vibe, and what people mean by vibe as far as music is just that it kind of has a consistent flow to it, so that you don't have to skip a track, that it just jumps everywhere. So I wanted to make sure that it had a great streamline of thought. So, yeah.
Okay. Now we have a question, and it comes from business lawyer ATL. So, which of your songs would you say did you have to be the most vulnerable to release?
The most vulnerable to release. I mean, I think Long Song Away was vulnerable because I didn't know if it was going to win or lose.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I really felt like my deal, everything was on the line. You know what I mean? For putting out that song. And so, it was a song that I wrote and produced, and it was a big risk, You know, I don't necessarily call myself a producer, you know, and so for them to be like, all right, cool, we'll put it out, you know, it was a chance, and you know, we scored big.
So, feeling like you kind of took a risk to release this song, and you know, everything kind of being in question when it came to that. Now that the song is out, now that it's over a year later, now that the song has been played so many times, like how have the expectations changed for you as an artist?
They don't. I mean, it just gets heavier as far as, you know, from people, because, you know, first time you do it, it's like, oh, you got lucky, you know, whatever. So every time you do something, you know, the expectation, you know, it just gets a little higher. The stakes get higher, you know, and I'm excited about that. You know, this is what I was kind of made for as far as making music. So I'm always there to up the ante.
Coming out of DC, how close are you to DC artists, other artists that have come out of DC?
You know what? The thing with DC artists is, you know, we collaborate on things here and there. So like young artists like, you know, Chance French, JIDK, who goes by IDK now. You know, people like that I link with, and we make collaborations. So that's really fun. So, you know, it's just a whole bunch of people that's coming out. Ari Lennox from Dreamville, she's amazing. So it's so much talent. Brent Fryers, I think we were talking about him as well. You know, so we're all scattered everywhere, you know, and then we kind of discover as we were bumping into each other, like, oh, we're from DC.
Right.
You know, ran into Goldlink at the iHeart Music Awards. And so, you know, it's just
I love Goldlink too.
Yeah, no, he's awesome.
Yeah, so now, you know, with DC and DMV, it used to be a sound, it was go-go. Is there such thing as a sound now for DMV? I mean, there's no such thing. We knew it was go-go, but is there a sound now for the DMV?
I wouldn't say it's a sound. I think it's a spirit. It's an energy. It's the culture of what we bring to the table. You know, we've always had this entrepreneurial spirit. You know, from out of District of Columbia, we had a lot of opportunities to build early on, and I think that we still kind of carry that tradition. You know, with the labels, how we move. I mean, when you think about a lot of the OGs like Maya and Raheem Devon, them leaving their labels and starting their own companies, like, it's not just because of the knowledge that they, you know, or the lessons that we learned, but it's because this is what we grew up around. We have these, you know, businesses that, you know, are right next door, and they're successful because we support it. You know, we don't wear a lot of stuff from outside of the city. You know, when somebody starts up a company and it's dope, we rock it. Whether it's We Are One or Obo or, you know, anything that was DC based that we thought that was loud, we always supported.
I love it. So
don't forget Johnny Gill.
Johnny Gill.
My. Oh my. Do you have a little time to stay a little bit longer? So we're gonna play Long Song Away or no? So now we're gonna play, but we're gonna come back. I'm gonna ask him the question of the day. I'm gonna tell you that's why I want you to stay. Look at this.
Everything's slipping out.
Right. I want you to stay, but I'm gonna do a little headline, just a little bit, and ask you the question of the day, and I'd love to get your point on it. Long Song Away, you guys. It's Kevin Ross. Keep it locked. It's Tmarie Radio Show right here on Power 108.9.
Hey, Zuckerberg, Kevin said I can play this song. Kevin said I can play this song.
Okay, so shut us down. He here. He right here.
Somebody gonna come out.
Right.
University.
30 seconds. There we go.
Right. We do not own the rights to this music, Facebook. We are just here with the person who sings it, and that's all we know. Okay.
I'll just turn it down low.
Yeah.
So we don't get in trouble.
They might be like, oh, what the heck? All everything, next thing, everything's black. All right, so we're going to talk about John Gray. Y'all know Pastor John Gray?
Yeah.
Okay, so he has admitted that he has had an affair recently.
Okay.
If you know, John Gray is the person who does a lot of relationship advice.
Yeah.
And so what we want to ask you and we're going to ask everybody is, can you take advice from someone who is messed up in that area?
Can I take advice?
Yeah.
That's the person I am going to take. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I should have just never said. I should have never waited, but that's what
I was in the fire.
Right.
So
So
when
that's
we ask you, act like it's your first
Right.
time.
Listen.
Yeah.
Get my acting times up.
I am.
What's wrong with you?
Nothing.
He's valid.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. You guys are super fantastic. Hey. I'm saying, let me go. See, he don't tell me.
I think I want y'all. Can y'all ask this question?
What it is? Sure. Ask right away. Right away.
All you have to do is post a release and disclaimer to the music.
No.
Sorry, the lawyer is coming out.
Who said
That
Thanks.
It is.
Thank you.
Thanks, sis. We got you.
But by us saying we don't own the rights to this music, that don't matter.
That don't work. That don't work. Right. That don't work.
All right, how about we do this? We go back to that original Faro Jaro.
Right, we did that.
Faro Jaro ain't
Right.
gonna get us in trouble.
We've done that. Okay.
How is that?
It's not my favorite angle, but y'all better be glad I like Kevin a lot. Cause y'all know I don't be making myself look bad, but because we got Kevin, I'm gonna do it for the vine, okay? It's terrible.
We just don't have no beaches.
Yeah.
Were you writing first?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
writing first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why he be handing me paper. I know
I'll read it.
I know. I got.
No, I only got a
you.
fifth grade education, and trying to get in here, read and write and talk is terrible. Not gonna be able to
We're
do it.
sorry for the shaking, guys. Michael's trying to write.
My bad.
Got
My
you
bad.
a heavy hand. Welcome to Atlanta, Kevin.
I phrase it the way you need to, but you see.
See what I'm talking about?
You know what I'm saying?
Got
You know what I mean?
Boom.
Like some of the people we see now,
Ready.
but it sounds. But to me, like, you should have been knowing that at the beginning. You know what I'm saying? But some people get.
And it's so many, because Neo was one.
Giving out that answer. Come on,
You
Timmy.
know,
Look,
Yeah,
are we cheating?
He already know. He done been asked 1,000 plus questions.
Wearing glasses still ain't helping.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Tmarie Radio Show right here on Power 108.9. Thank you for tuning in. I always got to tell you to go ahead and share the page.
And share the page again. Tell a friend to tell a friend
to tell one more friend so we can get them aware that we're right here on the air. We're back in here. Kevin Ross, you know I've been trying to get my rap career up.
Now, you know what's crazy? So, Kevin, this is our 4th year together.
Yeah, it is.
4 years that I've been with this woman, my longest relationship ever.
Yep.
So shout out to you for
accepting you for who you are.
Shout out to you for loving me for who I am, and me accepting you for who you are.
Whatever. Because I'm the best.
But anywho, T's wanted to be a singer for quite some time. Now clearly she wants to be a rapper. It's a new year.
It's a new year. I'm taking a different direction.
It's easier.
Right.
So when it comes to singing, what advice would you give to those people wishing to pursue singing, if they can really sing it?
Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. I mean, if you got the gift.
Hold on. Do me a favor. Now I want you to answer that, but I want you to turn this. I want you to turn this and look her right in her eye and give her that answer.
Shut up.
I'm trying to sing. Don't overthink it.
Okay.
If you got the chops, then hone in on your craft.
See, the problem
Give
is
him a good hump. He might can write you a song now.
It's my time to shine, ain't it?
Give him a good
I
hump.
don't even know what I'm. No, wait, we'll come back to it because now you put me on the spot. Now
you know what? So, okay. Speaking of writing, you've been writing for a long time. When did you get that urge to say, "All right, now it's my time. I'm ready to get in front of the people, and I'm ready to be that artist"?
I can't take credit for that, honestly. It was really God.
All right.
I went down to Atlanta. I was like, listen, I'm here to write. You know what I mean? And God had other plans for me.
Mm-hmm.
I would step into certain situations, certain studios, and particular people would be there to kind of hear the song, and they were more interested in my voice, they were more interested in me. And I was very humbled by that. I think one of the first people to kind of gravitate towards it here is named DJ Tmarie. And I had a session with him.
Big Hill!
Exactly. So, DJ Tmarie, he kind of took me under his wing and he did like a drama session, part of the writing camp in LA. And he was late. And I was sitting at the piano and I was singing because I thought nobody was there. He crept in and he was like, "Nah, you got to do this. Like,
Wow.
you got to do this. And so when we wrote the song, and it was obviously good enough that the A&R was excited, so they called L.A. Reid down to the studio. And so he just stopped him at the door. Like, before you go and hear this song, you got to hear this kid. And walked him to the piano and sang, and that was really kind of the birth of it. And it kind of gave me the confidence to say, well, maybe I should just, write some songs for myself and see where it takes me. And those songs that I wrote actually were the songs that kind of landed me to do.
So let's go ahead and shout out God real quick.
Come on,
For his
God.
plan.
All right, hallelujah. Can we give it up for him?
Absolutely.
Can we give it up for the Lord? You know what I'm saying? You waiting on me?
I'm waiting on you because we got a question of the day.
Okay, so listen, we are going to ask you the question of the day, and I'm going to give you a little background for where it comes from. Okay, so we haven't really gotten into our headlines yet, but in one of them, if everybody knows Pastor John Gray, right?
He had a show on.
It's the book of John Gray.
Right.
He is a pastor. I don't know. Don't make me tell it because I don't know the name. Taking me too deep now. That lady. So he has a church now in Carolina. And he has been known recently for appearances on giving a whole lot of relationship advice, marriage counseling, and things of that nature, telling people how to keep their marriages together. So as of late, he has admitted to having an affair. And he blamed it on the devil. And he said it was the devil reaching out to his 16-year-old self. Now let's remember, this is the man who has been giving out relationship advice to couples on how to keep their marriages together. So the question of the day is, can you take advice from someone who has messed up in the area that you're trying to get advice in?
Absolutely. That's the only people that I'm taking advice from.
Wow.
That's the only people I'm taking advice from that's lived it, that are enduring it. Because the thing is that no one is perfect. And I think that he made a very true point is that the seeds that the devil implants inside of us, they start at a very young age. Insecurity, jealousy, frustration, confusion, distortion within our spirit. And I do believe that if you don't get a grip on it, or if you're not aware of it, you become a victim of it because of the fact that if it's a seed sown at, let's say, I'm a 7-year-old boy and I'm interacting with girls for the first time, and they're like, oh my gosh, get away from me. And I go home and I'm like, Mommy, how come girls don't like me? That's a seed that I just planted within myself that now as I grow up and now that I acquire these women, it's a complex that I'm developing, right? And so we go through the motions of love, and we find someone that really supports us, our rock, our foundation, and then the devil does creep back in because it's that insecurity. We haven't dealt with that. It didn't die in us. It was always there. And so when we are hit with temptation that is embedded inside of that seed, something will happen, especially if it falls inside of a man's lap. We don't go out looking for it most of the time, especially if you're committed or dedicated to your wife or fiance or your girlfriend. A lot of times it's that persistence. It's the persistence of saying, okay, you know what? I can't take it no more. I've been feeling this way, whatever the case may be. And things happen.
But what responsibility do we take to avoid, not necessarily avoid that, but deal with that? Because now we've experienced it. Now we have to learn how to deal with it. So how many times can we say, hey, that's the devil, that was the devil, that temptation, that temptation?
Because the thing is, and not to cut you off, it wasn't just one time that he got out there.
I'm assuming
it was a full-blown affair.
But you know what? I think that the biggest and most admirable thing that he did as a man is hold himself accountable by speaking it out in the public. Now the whole world has to hold him accountable versus it being a secret. There's a difference when a man has a secret, whether he's creeping around or whatever. Nobody can hold him accountable because nobody knows besides him, the woman, God.
Right.
That's it. When you openly say, hey, I got a problem. So when Kirk Franklin came out and said, hey, I got a pornography problem, that was him saying, hey, everybody hold me accountable. I need help.
Right.
So if you see me on my laptop and something looks sketchy, hey,
call me out.
You know you're supposed to be
right.
So it's the same thing if you see John Gray without his wife and it's a chick, you got to hold him accountable because you know now. That's what I'm just saying.
We talked about this at 8:00 this morning.
Yeah.
We talked about this question of the day, and not one time in these 12 hours did I think about the situation from that perspective.
Yeah, we gotta hold each other accountable.
Okay, I'm with that.
And that's a good point.
I'm for holding each other accountable, but also when do we start holding ourselves accountable? Because we have to understand when we get in positions such as men, not that we're not going to be tempted, and not that we don't have things that are going to creep up back in us, but when we get in positions of either not even just pastor, but as husbands or whatever positions we choose to play in, there's things that come with that. When do we decide that, hey, now I have to hold me accountable? I can't let this, this everybody else. Me, I can't just continue to do that just because, it's popping up. Because a lot of times we come across these things and we know better, right? We know better. Yeah. When do we start to do that?
But that's a part of the process. He took ownership when he said, keep in mind, this is a process, right?
Absolutely.
He had to either be caught or felt convicted enough to tell his wife. That's a hard enough conversation to have. To say, listen, baby, I can't hold this in too much longer. I didn't have relations with other women, right? So she has to go through that, right? They have to go through that. And then he has to sit with himself and say, okay, should I keep this between me and my wife and I'm going to be a better man and I'm going to work on it? He took it to a whole nother level to say, you know what? I take so much accountability for my actions and my wrongdoing. I'm going to put it out to the world. I'm not going to let my wife do it. I'm not going to let my mistress do it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, that's probably why you're not going to let that mistress do it.
It takes character. Because here's the question that I got to ask you guys. If your significant other and you're married cheats on you, is that the deal breaker?
No. But it depends on where you are in your situation.
Yes, we talked about it. It can't be something that continues to happen, though. It can't be something that continues to happen. It's one thing when you've done it before and you've done it once, maybe twice. I ain't gonna keep on letting you do it, but after that, to continue now, you're just taking advantage of my kindness, my mercy, my grace, my love for you. And that's what I can't continue to do. And a lot of times in marriages, men will take advantage of women's kindness, nurturing, and loving and caring for them because they know that when we get in that situation, we are most times more committed to the marriage or to that love than they are, especially physically.
And that's the thing. Is it a number? Like you said, like.
Oh yeah, there's a number for sure. Yeah. I don't give a. Yeah, I know what the book said, but the book also said I can lead to infidelity. But there's a number, and so I just can't let you continue to do that to me because now guess what you're breaking. You're not breaking yourself, you're breaking me now. And the fact that you don't care enough to stop when you see that you're breaking me, that's a problem.
Here's the thing. I think for men, what we have to understand, there's a misconception that goes around within our gender is that we feel like if we go out there, we saw our royal oats and we do all this stuff, it goes away. Like we can screw it out of us, right? And
screw it out of us.
I was sitting there having a conversation with a girl, not too long ago, and she was just like, do you think that there's a man that could be completely faithful? I said, yes. I said, but it's discipline. I don't want to hear that. You mean to tell me that there's no man where he's in love with me and he only has eyes for me? I said, whoever tells you that,
it's a lie.
Lying.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a complete lie.
You're right.
That feeling, that urge that we have on both sides. You know what I'm saying? As far as male or female. Yeah. It's just the fact that we have a hard time understanding the level of discipline. If you don't understand, if you haven't been in the gym, if you don't understand what it takes in order to be committed to a certain regimen or routine, you don't have what it takes or the skill set in order to be successful in marriage or any relationship for that part. If you haven't practiced discipline, you will fail at everything you do in life.
And discipline comes from what's important to you. Yeah. Let's be clear. When you are disciplined enough to do something, it's because it's important to you. So if you're important to that person, and that this situation is important enough to to you as well, you're going to discipline yourself to make sure that you don't do that because it doesn't have anything to do, like you said, with the love you have for me necessarily, but the discipline enough to make sure that you don't want to put me in that position continuously. So you got to do the work.
And then most times, a lot of people kind of outweigh the good versus the bad. Like, what will I lose if I was to do something like this? Now, with that being said, do we think that he thought about that?
What, in the moment?
Well, yeah, not in the moment. But
we know what he thought about in the moment, right? Right. Bend over, show the work. Oh, my, sorry.
This is not the after
Okay, my bad. Okay. But in the moment, go ahead. I'm sorry. So sorry.
But afterwards, what he could have lost, and do you think that's why he kind of opened up and shared with the world?
Mm-hmm.
This is what I did.
He needed help, and I think the best way for a man to kind of seek that help, whether it's outside of the psychiatrist or whatever counseling there is that they're probably doing, I'm pretty sure they are doing it, is to make sure that the world knows what it is and to hold them accountable. That's the only way.
See, now the thing is, why does the world have to be involved? Like, what about that community of people that they may have around them? Why did he feel the need to? I mean, I know you don't know why he did it, but I mean, Dr. Ross, you sound like you got all the answers. But yeah, why did he not consult that inner group of people? Why do you feel like you had to bring the entire world?
I think it's casting a wider net. You know what I mean? When we think about it, I think we divide ourselves way too much within the world. This is the human race.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that God created.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, right? So we have a lot more in common than what we realize. Outside of family, outside of friendship, outside of blood, we are connected, right? So we have to owe it to ourselves as brothers and sisters of God and faith. You have to hold me accountable for my actions because my faith depends on it. My life depends on it.
Right. And I don't need you to tell it before I can tell it. When we come back, I still got a little bit more. Oh, Mike, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say something because we were talking about discipline and how important that that part plays, and we were talking about DJ Toomp. So I just dug into the crates and thought about a record from Kanye West called "Can't Tell Me Nothing," and even in the song, Kanye had a verse said that how he stayed faithful in a room full of hoes, and it goes back to that discipline and the man himself being disciplined.
Right. And
so I totally agree.
So when we come back, I still want to stay on this, but I want to talk on it from the receivers, from the woman's point of view. Yeah. How long do we continue to allow that, and how long do we stay faithful to that, and how long do we stay strong to that? How long do we let you do that? It's Tmarie Radio Show, Power 108.9. Keep it locked. We'll be right back.
Sure.
Yes.
Y'all
sign to the left. Okay. It's right down the right. You can leave it up.
See?
Yes.
Don't entertain the people.
I won't. I'm not. You want me to? All I'm doing is drinking water, honey. They can be bored.
Watch T drink water, y'all.
Watch me drink water because these people gotta pee. All right?
I do too.
Well, all the men got a potty. Help me understand. See, women, we strong. We just hold out. We just hold it in. Then you got the bus potty. They can't even do it.
Y'all be having a baby on y'all bladder.
And we be sitting holding nothing.
Sorry, y'all. I got to take the audio out. My damn battery going dead. That's
battery
my fault.
Going dead. Sorry.
He wrote this song right here too. That's how be great.
Which one is it?
Yeah. He wrote this record.
Hey y'all, thank you. Everybody's tuned in. I love it. That is awesome.
Are you going to 9:30?
Damn. Oh, tonight. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, your ass.
Oh,
she was already late, y'all. And she changed the time on me.
First of all, he needs to tell the truth.
If you got a first of all, you got to have a second of all.
Well, that's a, first of all, he's lying. If y'all go through my text messages and stuff, it says 7 to 9. That was the first day. Then he want to flip it on me because we're changing the day, guys. That new day job. When you open up the next break, start with that. Yeah. Okay. He wrote this record too, right here. What? I'm a Trey Songz fan. Don't tell nobody. He wrote this. I hate Trey Songz. I hate him, but
that's not that Michael.
Okay.
He wrote this right here too. Dead wrong. So do this. So come back, say, you didn't write. You remember writing. So you remember writing. So you say you remember writing this record, and then I'm gonna play it. Don't say that yet. Okay. Yeah. I gotta get my picture with my new nephew, Sean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you.
Your parents.
You probably do.
Probably.
You probably do, man.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm 48, so I
Okay.
don't know. I
So
don't
you
know.
look, you're
you real
younger.
grown.
You're like definitely 10 years younger.
Oh, okay, good,
Yeah,
good.
so-
Okay, good.
You may not know.
real grown.
Okay, good. Yeah, I might not know him. I don't know. I used to run with some folks up in DC now. That's why they call me Babyface. Yeah.
I didn't go to the bathroom. They went on me. I'm sitting here holding. My mic gotta go too. I've been sitting here holding
You
it.
good
Like,
on your break?
How long we got?
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Oh,
See,
you
that's
gotta
what I'm
go?
talking about.
You got a pot? You got a boo? You okay?
I hit you with this bottle.
Hey,
I bring you back the kids. I ain't fooling with y'all. What? Get off of me. Hey, why
Oh
you
shit.
You know, push me into the dog. Look, see how this how they treat me, Kevin. Terrible. They treat me horrible. This is awful. What? I don't. They keep like staying and having fun with us. I appreciate it. I really do. I'm gonna drop you something. I don't think they say it for real. Maybe.
I mean, you know, sometimes she
sometimes I
got the
can.
passion
Yeah.
No,
is there.
Passion is there.
Like,
Come on.
all I need is some vocal training. I
Okay.
honestly can carry
She can
a
hold
note.
a note.
I can sing in moments.
ish.
I can. I just can't. Does that make
Her
sense?
annual
that I
karaoke,
can?
she's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then
my mama
Hold
can
on,
sing
hold on.
really well, like for real. My mom can sing. I just
shout
don't
out
know.
to Miss Mary for having a real voice.
Yes, my
You didn't
mama.
get it.
Yes.
It's skipping generation.
It didn't skip. It
Which
just
one of
kind
your
of
kids?
toddle. Micah, you know,
See, there you
Micah was actually chosen. That was her. She goes to the art school, my baby girl, the Catholic Arts. And when they're third grade, they have to audition for different arts. And so her first one was singing, vocal. So she can really sing, but I can't.
Remember when I did your first music video?
What was we singing?
You was meeting potato.
Meat potatoes when we had the band. I had a
Yes.
full-fledged band, honey. I was doing the thing with the white people. Hello, white people. Thank y'all.
I
Love y'all.
encourage you.
Yeah.
You are.
I'm
That's why we
telling
lasted
you.
so long.
I did. I was. And then you remember when I did Anita Baker for you on the show? You remember?
Word.
Listen, I be on camera singing like I can sing for real. I don't have no fun.
Come on now.
They be like, girl, shut up. Like, you hating.
But it ain't.
You hating. You just straight hating. They do be hating because this is amazing.
They do because it's
What?
Yes, sir.
Y'all be, why y'all be so fast? Man, be so
because we
fast.
gotta go through every gotta pop the space
Y'all
off
give it up
and take
like a
off.
fire department, go across here and get done. We gotta move things. We don't want to touch the toilet, so we gotta hover over the toilet and make sure we up. Right, we gotta keep fast. We got terrible paper, honey. We just be hovering like an aircraft, like we don't let. I'm just saying, we just be hovering, honey. Can't
Ready,
touch the
sis?
toilet. We don't know who we on there. Y'all know crabs jump.
And this is real. I'm enjoying myself.
Good.
I'm just
Good.
saying.
Good conversation.
And okay. Good. Who's that? You want me to leave? You want a shot?
Kevin, why her mic all the way down there?
They got something to say.
Y'all what?
And we're back. It's Tmarie Radio Show on Power 108.9. Thank you guys for
Uh-oh.
I can't do it. I need a little glass.
You don't need no glass. Hit that thing, girl.
Show.
I gotta tilt
We're
to
here
the
with our
side.
special guest.
Put it in your mouth.
And a little bit of that banana shake.
Water.
I mean,
Y'all know I got a new job. It's water. Yeah, they watch.
it ain't
Water.
narcotic.
Right.
You know, my new job believes in Jesus, and we ain't got time for that. Hey, y'all, but we're back. Okay, so let me go ahead and let you guys know. Thank you for tuning in today. But the show is moving to a new day. And are we doing 8 to 10? Is that what we're doing? Or are we doing 7:30 to 9:30? What are we doing? 8 to 10? So we're moving to Wednesday, starting next week, right, Q?
Yes.
And we're going to be on from 8 to 10. So go ahead and what? We don't care.
We got a TV.
We got a TV.
You can record it.
We ain't got. We're gonna be on from 8 to 10.
I'm gonna be on from 9 to 10. From 8 to 10, I'm gonna be in the lobby watching.
No, you're not. You're gonna be right here on Tmarie Radio Show talking with me and Michael and our new guest and Kevin coming back too.
Yeah, shout out to Empire, man. I had 2 Jackson.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Look at you. What happened to you, man? I'm not thinking you be tap dancing, but you know you tap dancing in 5th grade. I was like, what happened to you? Oh my God, no.
So this acting, I know I heard you mention a little earlier that you like to, get in on that acting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I don't know. I really don't know. I just put it out,
So you gotta
so
take
God,
Yes.
yeah,
put it in
so
his plan for you.
Whenever it happens, I accept it. I receive it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So listen, do you remember this song? We're gonna leave. I'm just dead wrong. You're dead ass wrong. You dead wrong. So you know that. I'm telling you, you are my new best friend. Can we change numbers?
Okay. So while we have you here, it was a list of some of the songs that you've written that we haven't heard, but we've heard before.
But a list of some of the songs that you've heard
That we
haven't heard tonight, but we've heard before.
Oh yeah, What's Best for You, Trey songs. You heard what's some other ones? Oh yeah, I did some SWV stuff.
Oh.
I did some Johnny Gill stuff. Shout out to Johnny Gill. I did Johnny Gill stuff. I did I'm drawing a blank now, but yeah, it's been a
done so much.
So most newer artists or newer writers tend to write for newer people. But some of the people that you've mentioned and some of the people that we know you have written for are pretty much legends in the industry. How does that feel? And
how do you write for them?
Yeah, and if you could work with anybody else that you have not worked with, who would it be?
Stevie Wonder is like top of my list. Definitely. But I mean, I have an old soul. So like when I stepped into the game, it was like a lot of the OGs kind of gravitated towards it because it was odd. It was odd for this like 17-year-old kid writing these like love songs.
Right.
Like grown love songs. And they loved it.
But Stevie Wonder, like what kind of song would you want to write for Stevie Wonder, who sung a little bit of everything? Yeah. What could you see yourself writing? Like what type of song would you want to write for him?
I think that should be between me and Steve.
Oh, so none of my. Why don't you just? Why you just say none of your business? I'm just. You could have said that and it's cool.
I've never met Stevie, but like we kind of vicariously work through each other. So I worked with a guy by the name of David Foster, right? David Foster is like a producer from back in like Whitney Houston, Diane Warren, stuff like that, right? So I get invited to go to LA to like sing on a couple records. So he plays this record, it's like Philharmonic, it's like arranged this beautiful version of Overjoyed, right? So I hear Stevie's voice, and so he's like, how, what you think about it? And I was like, it's dope, right? So he's like, I want you to do the second verse. So I was like, man. Recorded it, and just to hear, me going right after Stevie on, a beautiful song like that, like the world will probably never hear it. And I should have like recorded it.
Yes.
But,
thanks,
I
Kevin.
should have recorded it, but it was awesome, man. Like it
So before you go back, because you tried to skip over the part about the women, didn't I say I was coming back to talk about the woman's side of this?
I figured it was gonna be a little deep, so I had to get this out the way first.
Oh my God!
You're welcome. Now it's your turn.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So listen, okay. So we talked about this because people were asking me because women want to know like how long should they endure? How long is too long? And I have two different answers. I do, but how long is too long? How many times? How long should they endure? How long should they lose themselves in situations such as these with the John Gray or whatever particular person they're dealing with? How long? I'm gonna ask you and then I'm gonna answer. I gotta answer.
Now I'm gonna say this for men and women. It's not I wouldn't say it's a number of times for either. But when it starts to affect who you are as a person, and because of the things that you've dealt with, and you find yourself dealing with more than you ever thought you should or could, and it becomes kind of detrimental to your health, and you start to look at this person like, no, you're not the person that I saw, and I don't like what I see for myself when I'm looking in the mirror, then it might be time to go. It might have been time to go.
What about you?
I don't think it's a number of times. I think with every woman, everybody has a different threshold. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I do believe, and this is only my theory, I believe that everyone is capable of anything, right? So I always go into a situation understanding that who I'm sitting next to could be a liar, could be a murderer, could be a lover, could be the person that saved my life, could be a hero.
I could be out.
So whatever, and I'm just saying, what I'm saying is that we have to understand the human condition, right? And so in order for me to develop empathy, I have to understand that I have the same capability as the person that's beside me, or the person that's in jail, or the person that, you know what I mean? So that's the condition that I understand and recognize. So as it pertains to love, I understand going inside of a relationship.
We think we're in love, but with this one thing that we are attracted to. So when the things that start showing up that we're not attracted to, we ignore those because we want what we want so bad. Yeah. We feel like that we can fix it.
And Tmarie, let me add, I've been married for 22 years.
Yeah,
and the one thing that my wife has always said that, she had been in relationships before, and the one thing she would never do is put me on a pedestal.
Right.
To say he would, my husband would never do that.
Oh, yeah.
Can't do that.
Yeah, you can't.
Because as soon as they do it, it's done.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So she knows, and just like to your point, like you said, you can't do that because you can break my heart, or I could be with you for the rest of my life, and everything is perfect.
Well, let me talk. Go ahead.
Well, speaking of Black love, I just want to take a quick minute to shout out my parents for their anniversary.
Oh,
yeah! Shout out to y'all, because without you, there'd be no me.
Absolutely.
Somebody always got to one up you, don't they?
Right. You talking about
right.
I didn't say how many years.
Can't nobody beat your man. But I do want to talk about, this is what I say when it comes to how long is too long, okay? I do think it's different for marriages than a relationship and dating. Yeah. Because when you are married, you have signed up, you have decided to sign up for whatever, for better or for worse. So when you have decided to sign up, that means you took time to read the full contract with just that person. You paid attention, you did everything with all the things you need to do with that person. You saw everything, you was like, you know what? I got you. I can roll with you in this. Once you've done that, then that's a difference. You stay and you work it out. But in that old boyfriend, girlfriend, which I don't believe in, which no more boyfriends, in that old relationship stage, you don't.
Ooh, I want to ask you, what's that about?
So when we come back, we're going to talk about, guess what? No more boyfriends. It's Tmarie Radio Show right here on Power 108.9.
Man, you must have got all music up and stuff, man. That's the J from Star.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we do.
That's you too, ain't it?
Yeah. I was like,
I can try to shut it down, but we leave at 9.
Come on, you can go. Go. It's 9:25.
That's how you try to shut us down.
No, you good. Come on, we're gonna do one more break. And Kevin Angie's on. She's from Burry Farm.
Hey! Shout out. Yeah. Suitland Parkway.
Yeah, you guys have stayed on here with us. Look at y'all. That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, Kevin heard that record right here. He was like, she sounds so familiar. Yeah, you wrote it.
I'm sure
this
that
from Star.
That stuff pops up. Like, oh, it's him right there. Yeah. What they ask?
I asked.
Oh, I'm gonna pop you in your whole shit.
So she was supposed to start her show at 8. From 8 to 10.
Yeah.
She sends me a text message at 4 o'clock and say, "Hey, 7 o'clock. I see you then." I'm like, 7?
That is cute.
Let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase.
We talked about 7 to 9, and that's what we are.
7 to 9 has been in my calendar since last
year. Exactly. And then he had to go back. I bet
Hold on. Didn't you change the date though? Change the date?
We did that for the next week, and that's when we said the 8 to 10. And you confused it. Let's go back to the text messages. I bet you $12.
So did we ever go back to those text messages?
He didn't, because he don't want to pay my $12.15 for that.
Because at this point, it don't matter. It really don't. We here.
We here. We staying here. We ain't going nowhere. How about that?
Y'all ass gonna be up with me in the morning show too.
Okay.
7 o'clock. 7?
Yeah. I head to work like 7.
Okay, I'll let you have that.
You texting me, hey, y'all.
Come on, we do one more break. You good?
Okay.
How long?
What is this?
So you hitting any events over here?
Man,
Not really.
Just head to work. Take it to the house.
I'm trying to think what is.
I heard this events this weekend, but I'm like,
Will you
Are
be
you
here in
coming back to Super
February?
Bowl?
Go ahead. You ask first. You know women are first. The ladies first. But go on.
I was already talking.
No, so what? I was talking to. But go on. Say what you want to say. Go on.
when is the Super Bowl again?
The fourth, I think.
Oh,
Third,
no,
fourth.
yeah,
Will you be around for Valentine's Day in that area, or you'll be back?
She's selling you, bro. She's selling you.
I'm saying that because that's what my book release is about no more boyfriends, and I would love for you to be here. That's why I asked. Thank you very much.
I might not be here, but I probably won't be there.
How you not gonna be here?
True
So I guess
professional.
the answer
Is
when
no.
I asked when you gonna be here for Super Bowl.
He said
Nah,
probably
I'll be
not.
honest.
He went ahead and answered that first.
I just said.
That's what I'm gonna start doing.
What?
Oh, you say, hey, you gonna come to my event?
Right. Exactly. That's the easiest.
Yeah,
I'm
I like
gonna be
that
around for that one.
What about January 12th? I'm in Vegas that weekend.
I'll be around for that one.
Yeah, I'm in Vegas that weekend.
Oh my gosh. Hilarious.
Shit, I gotta see my mother.
The heartbeat.
With the heartbeat, yup. Are you
That
ready?
is hilarious. Yep.
Come on,
You
Tmarie.
ready?
Y'all killing it tonight. Tmarie, Q, bam. You wanna come to a radio station where the engineer ain't all in your show.
But in the show, you know, but in there,
Trying to take pictures with your guests.
don't come here. That's not gonna happen.
Claiming celebrities as their nephew.
This is the wrong place.
Come to Power 108.9.
Wrong place.
Come on.
We're back at Tmarie Radio Show right here on Power 108.9. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I'm done with the shine. The shine and got me a little glossy and glittery and stuff. But it's good for your skin though.
What's up with that eyelash?
Oh, you know, it's about to fell off by now. Ain't nobody even saying nothing about it. Let me put this bang over it, though. Y'all make sure y'all know about the first of all new time next Wednesday. Every Wednesday from here on out. Q, what's the time?
From 8 to 10.
So
Catch us
8
on
to
Power
10.
108.9
Yep.
every Wednesday moving forward.
Yes.
What's today?
You don't think, yeah. Anyway, next
Yeah,
Wednesday.
just pay attention to our
Next
social media.
Wednesday. Exactly. It'll be
from
every
8 to
Wednesday.
10.
And thank you, Kevin Ross, for being in here, staying with us for the remainder of the time, talking relationships and music and stuff. We done forgot he wrote Stevie Wonder, who we gotta get on today, none of my business. Thank you. I appreciate that. We really appreciate that. So everybody was asking me, and I wanted to talk about no more boyfriends. Okay. And so thank you, Kevin, for asking me what No More Boyfriends stands for. It is a movement, and it is a movement that actually came out of a relationship that I had, where I got in the relationship and played the wife role because of the title of girlfriend. A lot of times women get in the girlfriend role and immediately go to wife status. They start doing everything as a wife, cooking, cleaning, bending over when they ain't got to. Just doing extra, doing exactly what a wife should do. I mean, we even do stuff that, you know, we're not required to do. We're keeping up with your calendar. We're keeping up with your kids. Like they're our kids. Like we start doing these things and then you still don't get chosen as the wife. Now, what I say for women, there's an accountability on your part. You have to realize what it is that that man's value system is before you start doing all that. The things that you do may not be with the things that that man needs. He's going to choose you according to his value system. So don't go in. I'm not saying have a partner, don't have a relationship. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is don't go into that boyfriend stage or the girlfriend stage thinking and moving as a wife. There are stages and movements to find out to get to that point. And so you should be definitely intentional when you're moving toward that stage, but not giving everything that a wife gives.
That's an interesting take on it. And I have an interesting take
Here we go.
for you
Okay.
as well.
Yeah, thank you, man.
I think that women are far too hard on themselves as far as it pertains to that, and that's just in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's deeply rooted in, you know, when women are little girls, you know, when you really think about the psychology of it, the first toy you get is adult,
Okay.
right? Or a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And probably as you get older, you get a kitchen set.
Okay. You got a sister somewhere?
So from birth or from a very young age, you've been kind of like groomed to be a wife,
exactly.
to be maternal,
exactly.
to be a mother, right? So instinctively, you can't help but to go into a relationship
Absolutely.
and go into this mode because this is all you know.
Mm.
This is all you know. It's like you're pre-designed.
Right.
So women, it's like you have to work your way out of that because it's like it's just part of it. Like you said, I'm with it.
Mm-hmm.
No boyfriends, you know what I mean? Kind of check yourself at the door.
Check yourself at the door.
Yeah, but just understand like where it's rooted.
Well, definitely understand what it's rooted in, but what I'm saying, there's an accountability to a woman to understand that everybody doesn't deserve that.
That's right.
Everybody doesn't deserve that. And just because you get into this title, because as soon as you become a girlfriend, you, like you said, we're by nature and nurture. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
What I'm asking you to do as a woman is to understand when you go into this, don't just use your heart. You have to use your head because you're going to set yourself up if you don't. And there's things that you can do and you should do and think smart when you're going into a relationship. We think that all we should use is our heart. We shouldn't. You have to use some logic because your heart and emotions can fool you, trick you, and lie to you. They will set you up.
Yeah.
And so if you go into a relationship using only this, that's the first thing that's going to get broken.
Yeah.
So you have to go into these things with logic, with wisdom. And just because we've been nurtured in nature to do that, that doesn't mean that's how you move. You move according to what you've learned by.
Yeah.
You don't buy a car. You don't go into careers just by emotions.
Yeah.
And I know that's a little hard, but you still should use the same logic with choosing a life partner or allowing a life partner to choose you. Every man does not deserve that side of you. So just reserve that side of you for the person who has decided that I want to share that with you.
And it's the same thing. It's identifying it, right? So I absolutely agree. It's just identifying the problem. Right?
Absolutely.
So on the same side as far as men, we had to identify the problem of discipline in order to be faithful, fidelity. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like you can't fix it if I can't get to the root. I'm always going to cut the plant, and it's always the root is still going to be there.
Absolutely.
Always.
And that's the one thing you have to. The first thing that's in the book, absolutely, is all about identifying you, finding out what's going on with you. You will always be the common denominator no matter what. As the victim or whatever, you are the common denominator. So you have to find out why you attract to certain things, why you do certain things, why you attract certain people.
Yeah.
You have to work with you first and condition you first. So when you go in with a better eye. You go in with more wisdom. You go in with a better understanding of why you do certain things. And now you have a little more control of how to avoid certain things.
Tmarie, when we were talking about when he brought up, like, you know how writers just be thinking and coming up with stuff, when we think about the easy bake ovens and the dolls and all that kind of stuff, do you not believe that plays a role in the perception of what little girls think you should be as a woman growing up? And then the question is, at what point do we stop doing that so that our little ones understand that you don't necessarily have to be cooking and cleaning and changing the dolls and all that kind of stuff? Because until we change that piece, the mindset is still going to go.
Well, you have to understand, and a point right now, you have to make our kids well-rounded. So no, they're not just cooking and cleaning, but also deal with that electronics, learn that there's other things that you should be doing, because what will happen is that will be the only avenue that you see yourself fit as a little girl. So we don't just deal with dolls, we deal with technology, we deal with cars, because in my house, when I was the only girl, I was taught about oil changes, changing my tire and all that stuff. So that's why Q always talking about I got a little dude in me. And I'm good with that. I actually appreciate that because it allows me to see things, one, from a man's perspective a little bit, and to deal with men from a different perspective.
Are women holding the men accountable now, though?
And they should. But the thing about that is, I can't teach you anything. All I can do is me. So I have to hold me accountable for what I allow and what I do and what I give out. That man, I can never change you. I will never be able to change you no matter what I do. But I can decide to change the surroundings and change who I deal with. So holding you accountable means I'll let you slide maybe that one time so I can communicate. Because what we don't do is when we make a mistake or you make a mistake, we don't communicate that mistake and say what happened. I don't think you should just jump out the box. I think you should say, hey, that hurt me. That didn't feel good to me. And then once I told you that, now you know. Now you're accountable because I told you. You have the information. Now after that, if you continue to do it, then that's a problem.
So do you believe the statement is true that you teach people how to treat you?
Absolutely, you do. You do teach people how to treat you. Look, we're not doing this. I'm good for that. We're not doing this. Okay? And so I get it that you didn't know before. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. Now, you are accountable because you have the information. I don't think ignorance is bliss. Like, when it comes to the law, ignorance makes you automatically guilty because you didn't know. Because if you didn't know, that's cool. I'll give you that. We can't put that everywhere. But now that you know, you are now accountable, and the excuses can go out the window. No. So thank you very much. Oh, Kevin, y'all give it up one more time for Kevin and Rob.
Real quick, when we come back,
what we're doing?
wrapping up.
We're wrapping up. Oh, when we come back, we're wrapping up. It's Tmarie Radio Show right here on Power 108.9.
No, you good.
All right.
That's what I like that. No boyfriend.
No more boyfriends. No more boyfriends. So that's the book that's coming
She's
out.
smashing though.
I ain't
I'm just joking.
Y'all everybody can't have it, then y'all done smash a bust this up. No, because it tastes too good. You be trying to bust the doggone cake thing out of the bar. Go, man. Get on my nerves. No,
So
you can't eat no more.
2019. That is my thought.
Well, here's the thing. It's just,
Yeah.
But so you're gonna be a hero for that, and I think that the part that you play is what John Gray for me. I do.
Let me see about that now.
Because
Let's hear.
It's a lot more men that are unfaithful than women.
Oh,
Right. So we need someone that can be in the forefront and say, hey, I messed up. And I'm the one that's giving y'all relationship goals. I'm the one that's setting the example. I fall short. Now you're gonna watch me actually recover and make my way back to good graces and whatever they may be.
but what do you give them after that? Because you can't just say, now I'm gonna do this. Now you got to provide tools. Like with me, I give you tools of things that you should do. So you can. So now you can't just say I did it now, and now look at me and you can do it too. Yeah. After this, what he could do is provide tools for men who have messed up and help them to get back to not messing up. Give them the tools to understand on how to be faithful.
He's going through it, so his book comes later. He just admitted it to the world.
So Steve Harvey was on point.
Yeah.
Because he gave the book on relationship advice, and by that time he had been divorced.
And that's why I do think that you can't take advice, because you have to take advice from somebody who's been through it. Everybody, because people who have been successful and never failed, they can never understand or identify with the failure and how to get there.
That's why I never do relationship panels.
Yeah.
Because I've been married for 22 years. Tasha and I have been together for 25. Mm-hmm. So when you asked me in 2019, how did you and your wife do it? Dude, we didn't have social media. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have anything. And even our goals at the time were totally not aligned with where people are today. Mm-hmm. So my advice, I got nothing for you, Tasha. When I say, people say, oh, women got to be submissive, blah, blah, blah. And when I come back and say, because I know, dude, you got to earn submissive.
Exactly. And then you got to learn what that is.
You gotta go through the trials and tribulations that, when we was first dating, we was doing it 5 days a week. Now we've been together for 25 years. If we do it one time a month, I'm straight. Like, I'm good. Like, all of that fruit stuff in the beginning, that's going to go away, and your goals are going to change. And people don't understand that. And they need to know that. Yeah.
They need to, but that's the best part about that is learning that if you fall in love or decide to love your friend, once you decide to love your friend, then that's the part that keeps you together. So the goal shouldn't be about the person who finds got the most money or whatever that is. It really should be about having a friendship that lasts through whatever y'all get through. So when he can't get it up, or you don't feel like doing it, or you don't feel like cooking, that it goes past how you feel but how I know I feel about you.
I got the total. When you think about that list of who you want, you know, I was in Hawaii for 3 years when I was in the military, so I was just like, man, I want me a red bone shawty with some long hair and some pretty toes. Like that's who I'm gonna marry. Complete opposite. Short hair, brown skin, and ugly feet. But I love her to death, though. I love her to death. Damn, I hope she ain't listening. But it's not about that part. So yeah,
it's hard. It's tough.
It really
it's
is.
To fall in love now, because the thing is, like you said, social media, we become a victim to it, so it pushes back the expectancy rate of us getting married. Now we're a generation lost in limbo. And now they're looking at us like lab rats to say, okay, well, what's the average age that these people are getting married? Not only that, but how long is this marriage sustaining?
I still believe too, music. I was listening to music. Music has a lot to do with, especially with our young generation, because now these songs are saying smash and go. They're teaching the boys to look at women differently. Smash and go. You got money, you ain't got to deal with all that. Pay them and move and don't teach them anything about relationships. The other day I was listening to Cheers to You. You remember that song by Player?
No, I'm not a lot younger than you are.
Anyway, and I was listening to the lyrics, and he was talking about being committed to this woman and learning how to love her and loving her. What songs are there outside of my song? It's a couple. See, but generally, when our daughters and stuff turn on the radio, what do they?
Pop that zan, pop that zan.
And they condition themselves to do what? Pop that thing. So we're back, Tmarie Radio Show. Thank you guys for staying locked in and for sharing and listening and staying up with us to almost 10 o'clock. We got to leave. We ain't staying that long like we said we was going to. But y'all, come on. One more time, give it up for Kevin Ross, you guys. Tell them where they can follow you.
Okay. I have a question. So,
your
social media. So many people love your mashup.
Yeah.
When can they expect the next
one? The next one should be coming in a week and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta get back. I gotta get back home so I can sit on the couch and say.
So now you know. So we're gonna be listening for it. Bring us on live when you do.
No.
It's gonna be fun. I hope everybody enjoys it. I think everybody loves the '90s mashup, so this is kind of an extension of it in a sense.
Okay. So now tell everybody where they can follow you so they can see the mashup.
Make sure that you guys follow me, Kevin Ross Music, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You name it, I'm on it. Make sure that you go ahead and stream the music. It's on Spotify, Tidal, every DSP, or as people call it, streaming sites.
Nice. You got your inspiration too.
Oh, we ready already?
Oh yeah, we about to wrap this thing up. So I'll give you a minute.
Phone.
Oh Lord, Q part. Q know that the Quizpiration comes at the end of the show, every show.
But I'm using my phone. I didn't realize it.
You're supposed to come with your own Quizpiration.
I got it. You know what? I'm ready.
Go ahead. You got it? You got it.
You ready?
Okay, let me hear it.
You gonna sing my song?
It's I forgot it.
It's sensational. It's inspirational.
Okay. Okay. It's sensational, inspirational moments.
Good job.
Yeah.
And she wrote that on herself.
That was awesome. I don't even have a theme song, but this fool got a whole theme song. But go ahead.
So this piece of inspiration comes from. Shut up. It comes courtesy of life, and it also is a part of my new inspiration brand that will be coming out soon, 2019. Mm-hmm. Stop putting power into people and start putting it into your purpose.
All right. Ooh, that was kind of good. That was kind of good.
It better be good. I got it on the shirt.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. We will stay tuned in. We will see you next week, Wednesday.
From 8 to 10.
From 8 to 10.
Yeah.
On Power 108.9. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
And follow us.
And wow, that's right. Follow us. Come on. You don't want the music up. We know. You can follow us.
Make sure you guys are following us on social media. Our Instagram is It's Tmarie Radio Show.
Right.
Our Facebook is It's Tmarie Radio Show with Tmarie and Q. My Instagram is Quintessential1, the Quintessential.